Gone live a couple minutes early, guys. How's everybody doing? Surprise, it's me, 2 minutes early. And the reason that I'm 2 minutes early is this is my subscriber count. And I've been watching it for the last couple hours, and I've been saying to myself, geez, I sure would like to be live when it clicks over to 25,000. Because now you guys, I saw one person said they couldn't hear the music. Can you hear me? Is my sound coming through? There it is, 25,000 subscribers. Look at that, holy mackerel. Now, don't be surprised if it clicks back to $24,999 because it's a roller coaster, guys. It's a roller coaster. In fact, I want to get a screenshot of that on my phone. My phone says 1. I missed it. Oh, God. I usually like to get those screenshots right on the number, but I'll settle for the 25001. Oh, better Barbie, it was your fault. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, wow. I'll tell you, compared to some other channels that have millions of subscribers or hundreds of thousands and all, to me, I can't even tell you what a milestone that this was. I'll leave it up there for a minute or two longer just to see if it doesn't tick back one. But I've been watching this all day and it's been creeping up. And I'm saying to myself, wow, I got an hour and a half, 2 hour live stream coming up. I wonder if it's going to click over to 25,000 sometime during that live stream. So for the past hour or so, I've been watching it. And it's creeping up faster than I thought it would. And I said, oh, come on, hang on there. And then I said, well, I'm going to start the show. There it goes. Look at that. I just lost 3 subscribers. I think somebody's playing a joke on me. At any rate, that doesn't, I will unsubscribe then resubscribe. No, don't do that. I think a couple of people decided they were going to do that to make it hit 25,000 right on the money, and it went back down to 24,999. However, lately, there it goes. Oh, I should take the picture now. Hang in there. There it goes. Okay, I got it. I got the snapshot of my phone screen with the 25,000. Thank you, whoever did that. There were times when it was about to hit a milestone, like 20,000, 15,000, especially 10,000. I never thought I'd ever make it to 10,000 subscribers. Drone shots. Jody, you did it. You and a couple other people probably did it at the same time. You see how accurate this counter is. I mean, it really shows you what's going on. But there were times when it got to like 14,999 and didn't hit that next subscriber for hours. And I know it's just an arbitrary number, but these are milestones. These are milestones if you do all this work and have a YouTube channel. And I'll keep an eye on it and let you know what it does from time to time. But there I am. And let me turn off this annoying ticker at the bottom of the screen and also get rid of that highlighted comment where I welcome everybody. And that way you can see more of me and my fancy little flowery shirt. Well, good to see you. Good to see you, everybody. Thank you so much for all the kind words in the chat, the congratulations, and this is tomorrow. I'm going to release a video celebrating my 25,000 subs, and I'll probably cut a little of this initial footage out and play it in the video to commemorate the time when it actually happened, right 2 minutes before my countdown was complete and I was ready to go live. But I've been sitting here with my headphones on, my coffee ready, and everything. I don't guess you could ask for better timing than that. So obviously that's kind of preoccupied my mind, and I haven't really thought much about what I wanted to talk about tonight. You know my disclaimer, not a doctor, don't want to be a doctor, not giving medical advice, just telling you what I did, what I do, how it works for me. You can take it and do it for yourself if you want, but I'm not advising you of anything. So much for my disclaimer. I thought twice. I released that video this morning, and even though I had made videos about how we got here, I had 3 different parts to it, starting with Ellen White, and then on to John Kellogg, and then on to Ansel Keys. What I'm finding lately is, I forgot to put my phone on silent. There we go. Among other things I probably forgot getting ready for this stream. But I made those videos early on in my little YouTube career, carnivore career. There, it just went back to show you how fickle this is. It went right back. It went from 25,001 back to 25,000. I mean, if you all heard the old story about the snail trying to get to the top of the telephone pole, and he would climb up and he'd go up 3 feet during the day, and then when he went to sleep at night, he slid back 2 feet. The next day he went up 3 feet. That's what the subscriber count is like. It goes up and down, up and down. And YouTube unsubscribe. There, it went back up to 1 again. YouTube, I promise I won't be calling this out every minute of this live stream. I promise. That's what watching these subscriber counts are. Especially if I put out a video that I know some people aren't going to agree with. Bang, I can watch my sub count go down by 10. Never mind. I was going to tell you. We'll check in with it in a little while, see where it's at. The one thing I know is every night when I go to bed, I wake up with 25, 30 more subscribers from somewhere else in the world. It really is what goes on in the back room at YouTube is really incredible and complicated, and we're all still trying to figure it out. Why some of our videos get tens of thousands of views and some of them struggle to get to 2,000 views. We have the same number of subscribers. And interestingly enough, just because I've gotten so many more subscribers doesn't mean that my videos get all that many views. And then I look at somebody like Ken Berry, who just hit 3 million subs. 3 million subs. And some of his videos struggle to get to 10,000 views. And Anthony Chafee, who's got, I guess, close to 100 or 150,000 subs. Sometimes some of his videos struggle to get to 7, 8, 9,000 views, and some of them just shoot up. And I look at the subject matter of those videos and my videos, and sometimes the videos I think are where I did my best job, where I think that I watch myself spew these things out with no rehearsal and no script, and I say, wow, where'd that come from? That was great. And yet they don't, and I wonder sometimes if it's a combination, like they say, of the title, of the thumbnail, because you have to make those things somewhat enticing and arouse curiosity for people to even click on them. It can be the best video in the world. If the thumbnail and the title don't make you want to click on it, it's just not gonna get views. So that's one of the hardest parts of doing this. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. We're almost to 100 people, and for me, that's a great audience. If it ever went up to 2,000, I would probably get really, really nervous. At my coffee. It's the only time I drink coffee after noon or 1 o'clock ever is during the 2 live streams a week that I do. And I do, the Thursday night live stream for our private members. And while I'm thinking about our private members, Let me just real quick give them a little plug here. See, I'm up to 5 already. Start to get a little cushion now. And there's all our private members. Thank you so much, guys, for the support. I really appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing all of you on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Okay, let's see who's here. We've got Drone Shots. Jody, how you doing, my friend? Good to see you. And you were beat tonight by Jerry Bell. It says, hey, meat people. Jerry Bell was the first one in the chat. Good to see you. And is that Kurgan60, a member of the private group? You can tell them because their names show up in green in the chat. And that little badge they have next to them, the little blue badge, the color of that badge indicates how long they've been a member. And I know if you see a turquoise, lighter blue one, that means they've been a member for, I forget whether it's 2 or 3 months, but the thing is only 2 or 3 months old. So that's what that means. LCF, hi Mitch, I'd like to know what video you spoke about your last blood test. Any help would be great. I did put the video up there. Sometimes I don't remember exactly how I titled them, but it was 6 or 8 weeks ago where I put that up. And on the thumbnail is a hand holding 2 test tubes of blood. So just go to my channel, go to uploads or wherever, shows all the videos, and just kind of scroll sideways through them until you see the one with the 2 vials of blood on the thumbnail. Andre's here. How you doing? Prolific as ever. Good to see you. And Jody and Drone Shot said he couldn't hear the music. And I had, with all the excitement about my subscriber count, I had to reboot one of my monitors like 3 minutes before I went live. And then when I got back, he said there was no music. And I said, oh, great. I'm hoping I'm not having big computer problems. So if somehow or some reason, all of a sudden, I disappear, the stream will still be live. If I had people in here with me in Windows, they would still be live and could talk to each other. But rest assured, it will take me 3 or 4 minutes to reboot my computer, get all the windows back open, and get the thing back up where I'm live again. So hang in there if that happens. It'll seem weird, but that's the way StreamYard works. I think they'll keep it open for a half an hour if it just disappears until somebody comes to give you a chance to come back. And I had that happen a number of times in my drone live streams when there were thunderstorms and short power failures and things like that. We have Ron, is it Priest? Ron Priest. I better put on my computer glasses, so I better clean them first so I can see. These glasses have a prescription just a little bit stronger than my but not my reading prescription. My reading prescription is, I'm too far away from the computer screen. With my regular glasses, I'm too close to the computer screen. So I had a special pair of glasses made so when I work on the computer, the prescription is designed for the distance between my eyes and the screen. And one of the, I will say, benefits of me being on a carnivore lifestyle is that my eyesight is actually improving. Don't ask me why. I have astigmatism and I have prism correction in my eyes. So a lot of times it's not about seeing sharp, it's about not seeing 2 images off, And I need that corrected, but I found that with my glasses off now, I can actually see things in the distance sharper and clearer than I can with my glasses on. And this has been gradually improving for the past year and a half. And I'm waiting a little longer before I go in and basically have my eyes tested again, get a new prescription. But I find that the glasses I have are becoming too strong. Now, I have to wear them because of the prism difference. And what that means is one of my eyes actually is seeing a little higher than the other. And if I take my glasses off, my brain will take those two images and put them together. But that isn't an easy thing for it to do. And I start developing some strain after a while. So I need to wear these glasses to bring the two images back to where they're on the same plane, and I don't see one image over the top of the other. I'm hoping maybe my eyes will get all better. I think I have a cataract that was forming on my left eye, and I think that is actually diminishing. I think that's actually getting better. So it's a very interesting side effect of carnivore. I know that the eye floaters, all my little friends that I used to have come visit me, are gone. And I've heard a lot of other people report that their eye floaters have disappeared too. There's no doubt that proper nourishment is good for every aspect of the machinery that we call, our human body. Anyway, Ron Priest, I can see it now. Hi from Canada. How you doing? And Quick Tickers here. Hey, old guy, how are you? Better Barbie. Wow, nice setup. I only have 2 screens. Well, for what I do here, I need all 3 of these. And I get so used to having all this real estate in front of me, especially with the work that I do on websites and graphics and other things like that. I don't know how anybody can do those kind of things on a notebook on just one screen. But they do. They do. Michael Pregler. Good evening, Mike. How you doing? Good to see you. Sherry is glad she found my channel. Straightforward truth. That's me. That's me. I try anyway. Linda G says hello. Tommy Pitarch, good evening. Mitch and Sandra McDonald says, just in time, finished my rib eye, 8:56 a.m. in sunny Western Australia. Thank you, Sandra. Good to see you. Jonathan Bags Packed Family is here. He's in West Papua, Indonesia. About to move to Alaska here pretty soon. Good to see you, Jonathan. Thanks for coming in. Mark C's here. Good evening, everyone, he says. Better Barbie. Lots of countries in the house. Yes, ma'am. Worthy Prince. Your Highness. Good evening, Mitch. Shari says, woohoo. She was the first one to notice that my sub count went to 25,000. Right now, it's setting at 25,005. So how about that? Hopefully it won't go back below 25,000 ever again, unless I go crazy one day, screw up really bad, offend everybody, and be a mass exodus. M. Bolt, good evening. How are you? And here's all the congratulations. Congratulations. Yay. Congratulations. Congratulations. Michael, is that Pocoati? How you do? Oh, Michelle, excuse me. Michelle Pocoati. How are you doing from New Zealand? Good to see you. Oscar Rodriguez says, good evening and congratulations. Everybody here is telling me they're going to unsub and then resub. That's what happened when it dropped back. Brenda Boycell says congrats, and everybody's saying congrats. And way to go. That's great. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm glad that you were here with me to witness that. Most of these things, they happen, I say, woohoo, and that's the total extent of whatever celebration happens. I guess the next major milestone is like 50,000 and then 100,000 after that. So I know that that's going to take a year or two before I ever get to 100,000, but it grows. I get an average of 100 subs every 6 to 8 days. So however long that's going to take, if it keeps up like that. And that just shows me how many new people are coming in. And then my analytics show me that when I do put up a video, only about 30% of the views actually come from subscribers. The other views are YouTube pushing my video out to people who watch other videos in this particular space but maybe haven't watched mine. So that's where all my new subs generally come from. And that's why I average the 100 to 150 a day that I get. Coco congratulated me on the 25,001. Thank you, Coco. I appreciate it. Said greetings, everybody. Ron's Keto Cafe. Wow, you have a restaurant. Congrats. Thank you, sir. Stanley Bridge says hi. Better Barbie says Ron. Rosie Red is in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, right up the road. How you doing, Rosie? Fernando Pasos, congratulations, congratulations. Worthy Prince, you mentioned it this morning, but did you see the advertisement that Kellogg's put up for? Yes, I did. That's why I said that. The cereal for dinner, and interestingly enough, they're pitching it for poor people. The whole thrust of that ad was, if you're struggling financially, eat cereal for dinner. And he said, so cringy. Yes, it is. It is. And the Kellogg's CEO, and I don't remember his name because why would I, has gotten a lot of heat for that. It's got a lot of heat for that, especially on social media. And the heat was in the form of, yeah, you know, you're an incredibly rich man and you're a hypocrite. You're telling poor people that they should make you richer because they're poor. And in the final analysis, I think that did not go over too well. I wonder where their heads are sometimes. Plain Life just subscribed. Thank you. Thank you, my friend. And Tommy's glad he tuned in to share this success. This is something, guys, honest to God. If you remember my first videos, those of you that have been with me, and most of the people that are in these live streams, I consider you kind of like my regular family. You're always here. You're always commenting in the videos, and you have been since my very beginning. And that's the basis. That's the root of what I do and what I know I can count on, because I have no idea what YouTube is going to do. When I release a video, it depends on the time of day I release it, which day of the week I release it. There's so many variables. And yet I try to put one out every day, even though I know that, for example, the one I released this morning, if I had released that on Friday or Saturday, it would have gotten twice the views that it got. But I don't gauge what I do by how many views I think I need to get. I make these videos about things I want to talk about that I think are important. There is a legacy to these things. And right now, for every 1 view that I get on a new video that I put out a day, I get 10 views on the 190 something videos on carnivore that I have on this channel. And that's good. And that's where the new subscribers come from. And my overall view count is on average climbing because of those old videos. So even what I put out today has the possibility, sometimes they'll just sit at one level for months, and then something happens and the chart will be gone sideways, and then it'll just go straight up. It'll go from 30,000 to 60,000 views in 2 days for some reason. And I wish I knew how to trigger that algorithm that hits something in the YouTube algorithm that just starts pushing that video out like crazy. Maybe it's when people recommend it, when people share it. I don't know what it is. I know that a lot of guys who do these things keep saying, share this video with everybody you know, share this video. I think there's a clue in that they must have found out that is the thing that triggers the algorithms. When you can get a bunch of people to go back to one of your older videos and watch it, if YouTube sees an older video starting to get attention, they'll give it another shot. And oftentimes it goes better the second time around than it did the first. So who knows? Just keep pumping it out, putting it out there. That's what I'm doing. Mitch, please mention the 70-30 ratio and how to assure it. Newly carnivore 2 days. Hey, welcome, my friend. That's K Day, the letter K. Good to see you. And right above K Day, there's a user with the name K. How did that happen? That's a coincidence. I imagine it's a different user, different viewer. K Day, 70-30 ratio and how to assure it. I don't know how you can assure it other than trust the packaging, and I can't see why they would put anything other. The more fat they put into burger, the less money they have to spend on it, the cheaper it is to make and the cheaper they can sell it. So it behooves them to actually load these things with fat instead of trying to make them really lean, because that's what our dietary guidelines tell us we should do. We should eat 1 to 2 ounces or 3 ounces of lean, and God forbid it, you eat beef, should be eating chicken breasts. Of all the things that are considered meat on this planet, there cannot be one that is less nutritious than a chicken breast. If you're going to eat chicken, eat the fattier parts. Always eat the skin. Chicken thighs, I think, are without a doubt the best bargain on the planet. People just don't buy them, so you can generally get them really cheap. And you take those chicken thighs with this, leave the skin on. Don't even trim any of the skin. Leave it all hanging over the edges, whatever it's got there, because it'll crisp up like crazy. And air-fried chicken skin is fabulous, and it's nutritious. There's a lot of fat in it, and I like chicken thighs. And I like chicken wings, too. Even though it's white meat, there's still a lot of skin and a lot of fat in them. I had chicken wings for my second meal today, by the way. But the 70-30 ratio, and this is the only thing you have to know, when you see 70-30, they're talking about calories from fat. Now, you know that fat has 9 calories per gram. Protein has 4 calories per gram. So without having to be a mathematician, you're shooting for, in anything you eat on a carnivore diet, by weight, not calories, half fat, half protein. 50-50 is the ideal ratio. And that works out to about 70-30 in calories. Same thing, because for every gram of fat, you have twice as many calories as you have in every gram of protein. So a 70-30 mix is just about mathematically a 50-50 by weight mix. The only thing you have to be sure of is that the label is telling you calories instead of grams. And since calories are almost universally used on food nutrition labels, not grams when it comes to ratios, they're almost always talking about calories. So 73-27, 80-20, 85-15 are calories. And you want to shoot for 25 to 30% of your calories from fat. And then you fine tune that, because we're all different. And we all have a built-in gauge to tell whether we're eating enough fat or not enough fat. It's all built into all of us, but it doesn't work the same in all of us, because there's so many other biological systems involved in digestion. And one of the most important of those in the digestion of fat, of course, is the gallbladder and the bile. So if you have any gallbladder issues, or you've had your gallbladder removed, you can't use the consistency of what comes out as that accurate a gauge until things settle down for you. And many people without gallbladders go on to just eat normal and standard carnivore fat to protein ratios like the rest of us do, because the biliary ducts, even though there's no gallbladder, the biliary ducts expand and become a storage place for the bile, which is made in the liver, and act like a pseudo gallbladder after you get adjusted to it. But basically, if your stools are loose, cut your fat back a little bit. If your stools are hard, increase your fat. That's how you tell. And it happens to me too. I can tell if I if I happen to eat way more fat one day, for example, if I have baby back ribs that are real fatty and I eat all that fat, I can tell next time I go that I maybe ate too much fat. So just keep an eye on that. That's all. That's all you need to know. And if you're like me, that'll be about every 5 to 7 days, which is something I'm still not struggling with, but it still amazes me how infrequently I have to go to the bathroom. Isn't it amazing how we always get into bathroom talk and these things, God? But that's very important. There's some things that you really need to know when you're doing this lifestyle, because it's not something that anybody that you know is doing, and you know that their definition of normal comes from most people eating the standard American diet. So everything from your blood test optimal levels to your physiology, everything is working completely differently in us than them. And it takes a while to get over the fear that you're maybe plugged up because you haven't gone. And the worst thing that just about every new carnivore says, especially after that first couple of weeks, if they happen to, during the readjustment of their gut biome to get accustomed to a different balance of different bacteria in there, is that they say carnivore made me constipated. And you say, why? Well, I haven't gone in 3 days. And you go, so? They say, well, there's something wrong. And then you have to explain to them that pretty much every bit of food that you're putting in your mouth isn't making it to your colon. It's being absorbed and used by your body. With me, it's 2.5 pounds of food a day that I eat. And interestingly enough, even if I haven't gone for 3 days, I get on the scale in the morning, I still weigh exactly the same. So somehow that stuff has disappeared in my body, and my body did something with it. Oh, let's see here. What do we got in the chat going on here? Okay, William Tate, does anybody worry about their BUN? That's blood urea nitrogen. My blood work shows mine at 50. Doctor said normal is under 20. Been carnivore for a month now. Mine is 39. My BUN, blood urea nitrogen. And if you Google it, if you just Google blood urea nitrogen, there is an explanation pretty high up in the text that if you're eating a high protein diet, readings up to 50 are not uncommon. I'm sure there's a lot of doctors will tell you why it's not good for you, but it is a byproduct of protein metabolism. Now, it's also used as a marker for kidney problems. And you can't just ignore that if you get a complete workup. You have to make sure that your urinalysis is good, that you're not spilling protein into the urine, and that you don't have any kidney problems from all those years and years and years of eating poisonous foods. But in my case, all of my kidney function tests, my EGFR, my glomerular filtration rate, everything, my urinalysis, everything showed that my kidneys are actually perfect, working perfectly, and yet my blood urea nitrogen was 39. And my doctor, of course, mentioned it, and I said, nah, I've done the research, and I understand that that's not abnormal for somebody that eats nothing but protein and fat, just like my extraordinarily high cholesterol numbers. And my doctor at the VA, I've been with her 7 or 8 years now. She knows I know what I'm talking about. We've had many discussions about the intricacies of biochemistry and cellular metabolism, and she ends up listening to me lecture very intently And in the end, she says, you know, the VA demands I recommend you take a statin, so I'm typing that into your record that I recommended that you take a statin, and you refused, and we leave it at that. And every time I see her, I get a big smile because she knows I'm healthy. She knows that I'm not doing anything to hurt me. So I don't know if I'd worry about 50. Keep in mind, you've been carnivore for a month. 1 month. You're still going through major readaptation. And one thing I've learned over all the years that I've studied this stuff, even though I never went to medical school, I think I've studied at least the equivalent of what they have to study in medical school and a hell of a lot more, without all the propaganda and false information on top, because I learned how to pick that out real early. What goes on in our body is so fabulously complex and dynamic and regulating things every millisecond. We're not consciously aware of it, but our brains and every cell in our body is doing its job and communicating what it's doing with all the other cells through electrical impulses, through our nerves, through hormones, which are signaling molecules in the blood. The number of hormones we have is fabulous. The regulation of all of them is always a homeostasis kind of thing. One goes up, the other goes down, always adjusting themselves to find just exactly the right balance for the conditions at that particular millisecond of time. And that's why I don't advocate trying to outsmart it and overregulate it by worrying about taking 30 different supplements or outsmarting nature and nature's programming. We just can't do it. We can't. In our conscious mind, we have no control over that stuff, just like we have no control over our heartbeat and all the other functions of our body. They happen on their own when they need to happen. And the only thing that we really have control over, the only thing that we need to be wary of and careful about, is what we put in our mouths. And that's it. That's the control that we have. What and when and how often and everything else that has to do with eating. So if you're eating right, if you know you're getting good food, and it doesn't have to be perfect food, it can be good food. If you know, there's still a raging debate over, should I eat grass-fed, should I grain-fed, and what about the hormones they give these animals, and what about the pesticides and all this other stuff. And when the cows eat grass that have pesticide on them, isn't that going to be in our meat? And I think Ken Berry just did a video about that in the last couple of days. And I talked about this subject on a number of past live streams, and I've always said, no, just because something goes into the mouth of a cow does not mean after it gets through the cow's metabolism and gets digested that any of that stuff in its original form or in any harmful way actually gets into the meat. When cows eat grain, there's no grain in grain-finished cow's meat. There's fat, because the cow turns the grain into fat, which is why most of us actually prefer the taste of grain-finished beef, because it's got a lot more fat. And those of you that are hunters will know that when you hunt an animal that's eating in the wild, like a wild boar, for example, there's no fat on that animal. And if you cook it, or if you try to make sausage out of it, you have to add a ton of fat. And my son does that. He'll get a wild boar, and his butcher will just give him slabs of beef fat, of tallow, and he'll grind it up 50-50 with the boar meat. And that's the only way you can get a sausage that comes out like a sausage is supposed to, by adding that much fat to it. These animals are generally very thin because they're not eating sugar. They're not eating carbohydrates. They're eating plants and grass stuff. And unless you're a ruminant animal with all the digestive machinery necessary to turn the grass, which has almost no nutrition, into fat, you won't have the fat in the meat. So when you eat a grain-finished animal that's been given steroids or hormones or any other kind of growth hormone or anything like that, that drug was fully metabolized by the animal, and it did what it was supposed to do, but it is not detectable in the meat that you buy. And I was really glad to hear Ken Berry, who everybody respects, say the same thing in this video that he put out a couple of days. So you might want to take a quick look at that if you still don't believe it. Navy 80-4 says, Greg says, so did my eyesight. Good. William Tate, these people are talking to each other. Glad to see that. K-Day says, how to calculate it. Thanks. Okay, I guess I answered your question. What a miracle, Andre says, to stop and turn around dementia. Yes, that is. That is an amazing thing. And when you eat right, your brain starts working right. Amazing how that works. Greg says, my vegan VA eye doctor told me that last year got better. Yeah. Vegan VA doctor, what an oxymoron that is when you think that anybody who's in the medical profession can believe that there's enough nutrition in everything a human body or an animal needs. And I'm going to continue, guys, to refer to humans as animals, even though I know that it offends a lot of religious people who think that somehow we are not animals, we're somehow better than animals. I just can't ignore what I've learned about evolutionary biology and the fact that, yes, we may be human animals, but we're still animals, and we react like animals, and our chemistry and biology and cellular respiration and all the other processes that go on in our body are identical to the way they work in animals. The only difference is the level of the conscious mind that we have and the size of our brains. And that's explainable why that happened as well. And it happened because we were forced, because of geologic events and migrations and everything, into colder climates where we were forced to eat more meat. And as we became more carnivorous over millions of years, our brains grew to what they are now. So there's too many similarities in, and I always tell people, I try to use this as an example. And a lot of people don't believe in evolution. They get their answers from their Bible. I've said many times I envy people the comfort that they get from their religion. I'm not out to change their minds or tell them that they're wrong. That's a lesson everyone has to discover for themselves and say this makes sense or it doesn't make sense. And what makes sense for me is that when I look at our face, we have two eyes, a nose, a mouth. In this position, we have two ears on the side. Our brain is sitting on top. We have a neck underneath that connects our head to our body. We have extremities, arms and legs. At the end of our extremities, we have hands and feet. And if you look at pretty much any animal, you'll find exactly the same layout. You'll find very few animals have their nose on top of their eyes or their mouth on top of their head. You'll find that most animals have four extremities, sometimes four feet, sometimes 2 feet and 2 arms. The dinosaurs had 2 big feet and 2 little arms, the T-Rexes, but they still had a mouth, a nose, 2 eyes. So all that in common. That's not coincidence. And that's just on the outside. Then if you look at any mammal, and we are mammals, if you look at any mammal on the inside, you'll find that they have every organ that we do. And the organs in their bodies perform the same functions of our organs. And their cells are built just like our cells. And they create energy the same way that our cells create energy, through oxidative phosphorylation in the mitochondria. And it's one of the reasons that scientists and researchers use mice and rats in a laboratory, because their physiology, while not identical to ours because of adaptation over a long time, most of that stuff works the same way, and most of the results they get in their lab tests are pretty reliable indicators of how it's going to work in a human being. And if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have some of the good pharmaceuticals that we have today. And even though I think we overdrug it, we still have some great pharmaceuticals and medical treatments that are incredibly worthwhile. I owe, as much as we talk bad and talk down about doctors, I admire a lot of doctors. Doctors saved my life when they did this brain surgery on me 2.5 years ago and removed a subdural hematoma. I would have died from that if I had not had my side of my skull cut out and had that humongous blood clot removed after an accident. So I do admire doctors. I think they serve a great purpose, but the system has convoluted their practice and overly regulates their practice now, just to suit the needs of the big companies that profit from the current state of most people being sick, having conditions that they can not cure, but they can treat. They still, to this day, claim that diabetes is not curable. And yet how many people on keto and carnivore have reversed their A1C back to normal and no longer have to be on insulin or metformin or any of the other drugs for diabetes? How many people with dementia have gotten better when they stopped eating that crap and started eating meat? Heart disease is a metabolic disorder. Cancer, turns out, from the latest research, is also a metabolic disorder. Our cancer rates keep going up. A couple hundred years ago, it was almost unheard of. Thomas Seyfried, the doctor who's got some terrific stuff out there on YouTube, is one of the leading researchers, I believe, in the field of metabolic causes of cancers. And we already know that so many cancers will shrink if they're starved of sugar. They feed on sugar. And some of these other poisons that we've been eating destroy DNA and cause cells to mutate and reproduce and split and divide with no control over that, in which case they become cancerous cells and just keep dividing out of control. We know all of this stuff, and yet you have to, when you try to get this stuff into mainstream consciousness, you meet a wall of opposition from guys like the CEO of Kellogg that want us to eat, not only not stop eating that crap, but double down on it and eat it 2 meals a day instead of 1 meal a day. Are they sociopaths with no conscience, or are they just ignorant, running around with their heads in the sand, going la 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 because they don't want to hear it? Because if they haven't heard it, then they can claim they don't know the harm that they're causing. I don't know. As cynical as I am lately, I lean towards the fact that they're sociopaths. They have no conscience and just don't care. As long as they can buy a bigger yacht next year, that's all that's important. And there's no doubt we have people like that in this world. That's why I keep saying that some of the things that are going on are just like out of a James Bond movie, where you've got the one villain that just wants to take over the world. I think we really have people like that. I think the guys who write the James Bond episodes are getting their ideas from real life. If you have Tammy, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Tammy says, thanks for my insight. Let me try to find that super chat here somewhere where I can put it on the screen. I always like to acknowledge those. Wow, look at all the chats. There it is. Tammy Pitarch, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I guess it's insight. It's insight. I'm a sponge when it comes to this stuff. It fascinates me. And like most of us, things that fascinate us and interest us, we tend to go after and watch and learn more of it. And I just happen to be incredibly fascinated by the human body or animals and exactly how complicated it is. And I enjoy understanding how it all works. And that fascination of complex systems that I seem to really love extends past just biology. It also extends into the why of the world itself. And in that video that I did this morning, telling that story, I love to tell stories too. Telling that story of Ellen White and John Kellogg, you'd think there's so much more. There's so much to the story of how we actually got here. And the most interesting aspect of that whole story is none of it was planned. None of it was some evil villain scheme to kill the human race or make us sick. It evolved like everything evolves. And every single trait of being human, every weakness that we have, every bit of greed that we have, every quest for power that some humans have, quest for authority, it happened over a period of 100 years, and it came from hundreds of different directions. And each one of the directions that it came from was a matter of timing and opportunity. And I'll give you one example of that. And there are hundreds of these examples. And each one of those things that added to the problem allowed it to multiply and grow into the all-consuming system we have now. Like I said, where everybody knows that you need to eat your healthy whole grains and healthy fruits and vegetables. Few of us know that that's nonsense, but most people don't. Most people think we're crazy. And yet we're crazy, but we're doing pretty good. You know, we're actually doing pretty well for being so crazy. But another one of those little offshoot things that came out of left field was just another opportunity. In that story this morning, I was just talking about the early years of it, back in the early 1900s. Crisco came along in 1911. And industry jumped on Crisco And they had no idea it was what they were starting. It wasn't planned. Some scientists came up with a better idea to make a cooking fat that was solid at room temperature, so, and was cheaper to make than butter. And for all they knew, they weren't aware of what it did, what it would do, what these seed oil based products would do to the human body. Most people even today aren't aware of that. If you go, next time you go to the grocery store, walk down the aisle where they sell cooking oils, canola, Wesson oil, all those things. Aisles and aisles and aisles and aisles of that stuff. And it wouldn't get the shelf space. It wouldn't get shelf space if it wasn't selling. People are still buying it, and people still believe it's okay to eat that stuff. And they're using it like crazy. They're using it in their cooking. They're using it in everything, especially frying things in. But that's not what I wanted to mention. Excuse me a second. You try talking nonstop for 2 hours. To show you the opportunistic part of it, who knew? Who knew in the 60s and 70s that there would be a huge movement against big tobacco? For whatever reason, 40% or more of people back in the 50s smoked. It was just what you did. They had advertisements telling you how healthy it was. They had doctors coming on TV telling you that, have a Camel after dinner. It aids your digestion. These people really believed that. They weren't aware. They didn't know. They hadn't seen lung cancer yet or anything. They didn't know what smoking cigarettes did to the metabolic health in cells. They hadn't discovered any of that stuff yet. It was just something people did, and people were always doing. They were just smoking. And somebody decided smoking was bad for you. Why they decided that? Maybe they just didn't like the smell of cigarette smoke. But somebody in government, they decided they were going to go after the tobacco companies. They could go after the food companies today, because the food companies, I think, are doing a hell of a lot more damage to our health than the cigarette manufacturers ever did. I mean, it sounds terribly politically incorrect to say if everybody that was eating sugar quit that and just started smoking cigarettes, a lot fewer people would die. And I think statistics would actually back that up. But I mean, you can't say that. And I'm not saying that, to start smoking cigarettes. I never smoked cigarettes myself, but I sure do get a lot of heat for the cigars that I like to smoke. The big difference between a cigar and a cigarette is you don't inhale a cigar. Never take that smoke down into my lungs. Maybe I get a little secondhand smoke, but I'm not going to live forever, and none of us are. And it's something I enjoy. It's very relaxing. Had actual doctor once told me that the stress relieving aspect of sitting and just enjoying a cigar far offsets any risks of damage from the smoke, because you're not inhaling it. And I tell people, there's proof of that. Listen to my voice. Listen to me talk. And then listen to somebody that has smoked cigarettes for 50 or 60 years that's my age. Listen to their voice. Listen to what that smoke constantly being drawn over their vocal cords has done to their voice. They have smoker's voice. They talk like this because they've ruined their vocal. Well, that's what the smoke does when it gets in your body. But puffing on a cigar. Now, I'm not trying to make excuses. It's just something I enjoy doing, and I'm convinced it's not hurting me. So I'm going to keep doing it. And if I only live to be 105 instead of 110, so be it. My grandfather smoked 5 cigars a day. He made it to 102. I never smoked cigarettes, so I never got in the habit of inhaling smoke. If I accidentally somehow get gulp of cigar smoke down, I cough my lungs up. I mean, I just can't take it in my lungs. So I don't have any tendency. But they went after tobacco. They went after big tobacco, and they put them out of business. Remember? Remember that? They outlawed cigarette advertising on television. Rosie, thank you. Thank you so much. I want to subscribe, but I don't use paper. Oh, you want to join our private community? They have their things that they do. So I don't know. I think they let you use credit cards or something else. But if you can, that'd be great. Love to have you. Would love to have you there on Thursday nights. I like your picture. Looks like something out of the 1930s and 40s. Cute. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. So they outlawed cigarette ads. Can you imagine what would happen today if they outlawed candy, breakfast cereal, pasta, and all of these high carbohydrate foods? It couldn't be done today. There's too much industry. The tobacco companies were big, but they weren't that big where they could fight it. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that even though the tobacco companies were fighting this, they were more busy figuring out what they were going to do in the future, because they weren't going to go out of business. They might have been forced to stop making cigarettes or cutting back, or they found their customer base dwindling like crazy. But they're not going away. The business model that the tobacco companies operated under, and every business that operates under a certain business model. And if you've ever taken any marketing courses, you learn what these different business models are. And a single model can apply to a lot of different types of businesses. For an example, one business model is called the Gillette model. And Gillette makes razors and razor blades. And the Gillette model, and they named it after Gillette, the Gillette model says, we're going to give them the razor for free, basically, and sell them the razor blades for the rest of their life. Do you understand what I mean? Think real quick. What other businesses operate under the Gillette model? Okay, it's not a quiz. You don't have to answer this, but I'll tell you a couple. One of them is the laser printer, inkjet printer model. They price the printers dirt cheap. They lose money when you buy their printer. But the ink cartridges cost a fortune. The printer is useless without the ink cartridges the consumables that you need to buy their consumables, because they fix it so that the other aftermarket and third-party consumables don't work quite right. So if you bought a HP printer, you're stuck for the rest of the time you own that printer, or a laser printer, buying their laser toner cartridges or their ink cartridges, and they more than make up for what they lost selling you the printer at a loss. That's the Gillette model. Cell phones are another business based on the Gillette model. They get that phone into your hands, which is totally useless unless you pay them for service every month. Without the $75 or $100 a month phone bill, that phone is useless to them. And they oftentimes will give you the phone for free if you sign a 3-year contract with them. Then you can't break the contract. You're stuck with the $100 a month phone bill. And if you do break the contract, then they nail you for the unpaid portion of what the phone actually costs. That's also the Gillette model. So here's the tobacco companies. Their business model is what's called the addictive model. This is the same business model that the heroin dealer on the street corner operates under. He knows that the minute somebody gets a taste of their product, they're hooked. What other business operates on the addictive model? How about the big food companies who have scientists whose job it is to make their food more and more addictive? And you know that they succeeded because they brag about it. They're right in your face about it. They come right out on TV on a commercial for Lay's potato chips, and they look at you right in the eyes and they say, "We'll bet you can't eat just one." They know that once you start putting this shit in your mouth, you can't stop. They're playing on ancient survival mechanisms in animals to consume sugar because it's survival food. And we're programmed when we get this survival food, our brains think there's a famine. We may have a refrigerator full of hamburger and steak, but if we're not eating it, our brains don't register the nutrients from it, and they think that the hunt failed and there's no meat, so we need to eat all of the sugar we can get into us in order to survive. And that sugar helped us, those carbs, those infrequent carbs, helped us survive because we had the urge to continue eating them until we couldn't move or they were gone, all eaten, which is why you can't walk away from a huge mound of spaghetti. Or you can't stop eating things out of a plastic bag. They're addictive. And they have scientists that make this stuff more addictive. They know how it works. They're not fat, dumb, and happy. This is calculated. And they've addicted the entire population over the last 100 years to these foods. So the tobacco companies, faced with saying, well, we can't make cigarettes anymore, and looking for something else they could do that used the addictive model of business, started eyeing the food companies. And they bought into them. They now own the food companies. And all the expertise they had in marketing these addictive products all went, their top scientists, their marketing people, all went to the food companies. And they learned how to package this stuff and make it more addictive. And it was the best thing for their bottom line that they ever did, because when you compare the number of potential customers for cigarettes with the number of potential customers for food, it's no contest. This happened. It wasn't part of Ellen G. White's plan, but the opportunity for this just fell in line with all of the unrelated things that were happening, and it added to the machine that we now have that exists by making foods that are addictive. Health concerns don't matter to them. And it increases their bottom line, and their shareholders love it. So there are hundreds of different unrelated stories that in the journey of the 100 years that this took to develop came at it from all different angles for all different reasons. None of it was a plan. None of it was a conspiracy. It was opportunities that it opened up and were taken advantage of by other players in the field. The Rockefellers with drugs. And then the biggest opportunity of all came when people started getting sick and developing diabetes and heart disease. That was an opportunity for the drug companies to jump on the bandwagon and make money. So Big Pharma started studying these different conditions. They call diseases, but they're not. They're toxicities. They're poisonings from these foods we're not supposed to eat, from all that sugar that we're taking in, from the seed oils, from the lack of proper nutrition from red meat and animal fats. The propaganda campaigns to demonize those things that really are good for us grew and grew and grew. You can't blame any one person. You can't blame John Kellogg. He went into this because he wanted to cure the evil thoughts that men had, the sexual thoughts. That was his motive. He wasn't thinking about any of these profit motives initially. His brother's the one that ran the cereal business. So all these people were cogs in this humongous chain of events coming from all directions. So to try to tell the story of how we got here would require a series of books that would fill a library, because there's so many individual stories in that. You can't really tell it. And the best I could do, like this morning, was talk about what really laid the groundwork for this plant-based movement that we have today, but without all these other players jumping on the profit bandwagon along the way, or the idealistic bandwagon. Maybe they weren't doing it just for the money. Maybe they were doing it because of religious beliefs or political beliefs or any one of a number of things that motivate human beings to do things. And that's how we got here. And I love putting pieces of that puzzle together in my head so that I think I talk somewhat intelligently about it, because I understand the dynamics of it, and I try to figure out where it's going and how you turn something like that around after it's so firmly entrenched. And I realized that I'm just some old guy. I can't do hardly anything except tell people what I think about it. And they'll tell somebody else, and our message is getting out. It is getting out. And one of these days, maybe not in my lifetime, maybe not even in my children's lifetime, but eventually one of two things is going to happen. We're going to turn it around, or we're going to go extinct as a species. Who knows? Nobody knows. I could be hit by a bus tomorrow. Well, what do we got here? Sherry Morgan, thank you so much. My sister, Erasos, I don't know what that means, is dealing with, oh, it's Spanish. Oh my God. Acute withdrawal from medication. Do you think going carnivore could help along with breaking sugar? I don't know what medication she's withdrawing from. That would be a question that, I'm sorry, but would be way out of my wheelhouse to try to answer. Unless I knew a lot of particulars. And even then, I can't answer medical questions. I can only tell you what I hear Ken Berry say to everybody. And that is, carnivore as a single variable shouldn't hurt any human being. It shouldn't worsen any condition, because you're only eating the proper nutrition for the human body. And I don't know if she's dealing with diabetes or whatever. If she's taking medication, that's something she needs to work closely with her doctor on, and hope she's got a doctor that can understand what is going wrong. But I don't think that stopping eating sugar could hurt anybody under any circumstance. So yes, I think that all the other variables aside, if she was to cut back on sugar, if she can, because she's probably addicted to it, but if she can cut back on sugar and she can start eating more meat, and I would probably suggest that she not just jump in both feet, that she starts to cut back on the plant materials that she's eating over a period of a month or two and increase the amount of meat so that it all isn't a big shock to her digestive tract. But that's, I think, what Ken Berry might say. And I've heard him say that a lot of times to a lot of people who've said, you know, my relative has this condition, can she eat carnivore? I've never heard him actually say ever, no, she can't eat carnivore. So I'm going to go with that, and hope that answered your question. Thank you for the super chat. Oh, where are we? We are sitting at 25,008 subscribers. This time of night, it usually comes to a halt. And it's getting late. It's getting later on the West Coast. People are busy doing their nighttime things. They're not so much on YouTube. If I look at the analytics, it shows me that fewer of my viewers are online after 6 o'clock in the evening here Eastern time. And it picks up again much later. All the people in Europe are asleep. And the Pacific Rim, 8, 9 o'clock here, right about now, they start to wake up. It's, you know, first thing in the morning for them, and they're not jumping on YouTube. So I think probably today that's where my subscribers will top out, and they topped out just over 25,000, and I'm a happy guy. I'm a happy guy. And I still have a little bit of cold coffee in here. Let me scan the chat and see if I can see any other questions here. Bear with me. Boyd Lamb, hiya Boyd, how you doing? It says, my mind still ponders the productivity, wealth, and strength/power of a country populated by a majority of carnivores. Yeah, I think that you'd find a huge increase in common sense, and I think you'd find a huge decrease in mental illness of all kinds. But Curtis Wilson, I'm sorry to hear that. He says, I think my healthy eating wife of 46 years died because of these evil people. It's possible. It's possible. She is withdrawing, stopping ready to see your doctor and support your sister. Oh, okay. He was answering Curtis, Florida is answering Curtis. Walton says, same with my diabetic best friend. I lost all my friends. I had 3 or 4 really good friends, and 2 of them were vegans. They followed Furman and those guys. They worshiped those guys. They kept watching me eat hamburgers and meat and eggs and bacon. And this was back 20, 30 years ago. I was always on a low-carb diet. They were always telling me what I was doing to my health. Whenever we traveled, at the time my hobby was radio-controlled model jet airplanes, turbine jet airplanes. We used to go to these fly-ins all over the country, hauling these big airplanes in a trailer, and we'd fly for a week at an airport we'd take over, and we all brought a lot of our own food, and these guys always brought their food in coolers, and they had coolers and coolers full of every vegetable and fruit that you could ever imagine, and that's all that they ate. The thought of seeing one of them take a bite of any kind of meat, I knew that would never happen. And I could always count on them for the lecture. And they were always touting Furman, Dr. Furman, and these Ornish, Dean Ornish, all these vegan guys, proponents of that stuff. They worked so hard at it. It took half of their time just to make sure that they were eating enough of this and enough of that, enough of the other thing, and I get this vitamin from this fruit, and I get this vitamin from that plant and everything. Meanwhile, they're both dead now. None of them lived to my age. None of them lived to, I'll be 77 here shortly. None of them lived that long. None of them. And they weren't very healthy for the last 10 years of their lives. We weren't carnivore. I wasn't carnivore. I wasn't keto back then. I didn't try to advise them. I just did what I did. And I tried to keep as low carb as possible, but I still yo-yoed and went off the diet, up and down, up and down. Until I finally, a year and a half ago, that's almost a year and 7 months ago, decided carnivore made more sense than anything I'd heard before. And I decided to do it. Randy K's in the house. Hi, Randy. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. Sherry Morgan, thank you so much for that comment. Really appreciates my wisdom. Naruto Kun is here. How you doing? A regular. Good to see you. BK, Belgian Carnivore. I am awake on my night shift. Yeah, you better be. It's late over there. It's late over there. Midnight Madness. Congratulations on my 2008 subs. You're falling behind, my friend. We're at 2009 now. Hey, hey. MK is in the house. MK. I do my own blood testing, eliminating the need to attend a clinic. Yeah, for those of you that don't know, if you've heard of Dave Feldman, he's affiliated with a group, and they have a website called Own Your Labs, one word, .com. And their prices are cheap as hell. And I think they've affiliated themselves with some of the big lab companies like Quest and those, where you can actually, you order the tests through ownyourlabs.com, and they'll set it up where you go to one of these local labs and have your blood drawn. And you pay them, and they give you the results, and there's no doctor involved. You can order virtually any test you want. Now, whether your insurance is going to pay for it, that's another story. But if you can get, say, a fasting insulin for $8 or $9, and nobody will give you the fasting insulin at your regular doctor because they say it's unnecessary, even though it happens to be maybe one of the most important tests to root out diabetes long before it actually becomes a problem, and you want to do that on your own, you can do that as long as you know what you're looking at. Ken Berry's got a book out there that, what's the title of that book? About lab work. And I know he has it on his channel. You can get a PDF copy of it, a Kindle type thing, for $15, I think. And he did a great job with Kim Howard. I think it's Howard. Don't quote me on that. And not only telling you what blood tests you should be getting, but telling you how to read them and understand the results and what the optimal ranges are. Not the normal range, because the normal range is an average on a bell curve of everybody, and everybody is unhealthy. So yes, what they call the normal range may be normal for just a huge number of unhealthy people, but that doesn't mean that those numbers are optimal. And he gives you both the normal range and the optimal range. And it's a good book. I've got a copy of it. I got it here somewhere on my computer. What's the name of it? Hold on a second. I doubt I can lay my hands on it this quick. Because like all you guys, I have way too much stuff on my computer. What's this? Is it in this folder? Here it is. It's called Common Sense Labs. Common Sense Labs. Blood Labs Demystified. Howerton, that's her name. Ken Berry and Kim Howerton. And if you really think you want to take this into your own hands, which we're already doing because we're carnivores, we're not listening to anybody else anyway. And Ken Berry and I have no deal, believe me. He doesn't pay me a cent to recommend his book, but I bought it. I paid for it. And it's a good book. It's full of great information. In fact, let me do a little fancy screen shuffling here, and I'll show you what the cover looks like. Let me move over here to this monitor, and bear with me. I'm not set up to really do this stuff, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to full right monitor. There it is. So that's the book called Common Sense Labs. Amazon has it now, I believe. They just started printing it. You used to have to get it right from them, but I think you can get it from Amazon now. And it's really a handy little reference book if you want to kind of do your own thing when it comes to your lab work. So there you go. Say thank you, Ken. I'm plugging your book for you. I don't think Ken needs me to plug his book, but I do admire him. Whoa, look at this. We have hit 25,010. Cool. So I'm pretty well set that I'm going to stay above 25 grand after tonight. And again, you guys have no idea what a milestone that is for a little old guy with a YouTube channel to get that much attention. I hope I don't get too much attention and all the goons from the drug companies and the food companies start coming after me. Oh, Randy K says he can hear music. I don't think I got any music playing. Okay, we also have, hold on a second. Let me find it down here. There it is. Thank you, my friend. Vital Nomads. Thank you for all my hard work. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Very nice of you. And MK has a copy of Common Sense Labs. Good, good. And I think they talk about that Own Your Own Labs company in the book as well. It's just a neat little reference book. It's just great. It's just great to have. Boyd Lamb says he thinks that Ken's working on updating or expanding Common Sense Labs. I think he is. I think now he has a deal with Amazon to publish all his stuff, that he is editing all of his books, improving. Because I can tell you, I wrote a book 20-some years ago called Taming the Beast Within. For those of you in the private community, you know that in the show notes of every one of our private live streams is a link to a free PDF copy of my book. If you're interested, you can download it and read it. But when I look back and I read that book that I wrote about 25, well, I was 55 when I wrote it, 22 years ago, I think maybe I should rewrite it, but it never sold. Nobody ever cared that I wrote a book. And I never expected to make a lot of money on it, but I had all these thoughts that I wanted to get down, and I did. I took the time, and I wrote the book, and I published it myself through one of these self-publishing houses. And I think maybe sold a couple thousand copies. It's on Amazon. Every once in a while, somebody buys one because they heard me mention it, but I am just giving it away. I don't care if I make any money on it. To those people who, because they'll learn a lot more about how my crazy mind works by reading that book. I go into some really wild theories that I have about a lot of things in that book. So if you're a member of the community and you haven't downloaded your copy yet, in the show notes of every one of my member live streams is a link. And it sits on my, Google Cloud Drive, and there's a button where you have access to that file and you can download it. I don't hear much about it, but it's there. It's there. Where was I? Donna, is it couture, or couture, whatever. Donna, you're a prolific commenter on my videos. I always enjoy reading your comments. Hey, Mitch, you certainly don't look 76 years old. Sometimes in certain lights, I look at the wrinkles under my neck and I say, yeah, I'm older, but compared to most of the people in my neighborhood that are 10 years younger than me, I certainly don't think that I don't look that age, but I don't wear any makeup for these things. I'll tell you, this carnivore thing has just done wonders for my skin. And the last couple of days have been warm, and if I look a little more colorful tonight, I have been laying out in the sun for about a half an hour past couple of days. My shirt off and bathing suit on and laying out back behind my house, soaking the rays up, and it just feels great. I like having a little tan, and I really don't burn on this carnivore. I actually almost go straight to tan, and it just feels great. There's not enough attention paid to the benefits of actually getting out in the sun and getting your bare feet in the grass. I don't care how good it is for you. It just feels good. It does something to your head. You just feel like you're part of nature. I understand the allure, although I don't participate, but when you hear people that go to nudist colonies, I can understand how freeing that must be. I just can't imagine, with the shape most people are in today, I would have to wear blinders, I think, at a nudist colony. Well, thank you for the comment, Donna. I appreciate that, for the compliment. Midnight Madness wants to know what everybody had for dinner today. Midnight Madness, ribs for me. Yeah, I had wings. I had wings today. That was my meal. I had the fairly good sized wings, and I cooked them in the air fryer. I didn't use the pork rind panko. I just season them and throw them in the air fryer for a while. Oh, speaking of air fryers, that Z-Star thing that I had made the video about, that I use and I love it, is now again out of stock at Amazon. I think we bought them all. I think my viewers bought all of them. And so as an alternative to that, my next recommendation, and it's something that I'm going to buy for myself because I'm recommending it to people, and I want to make sure that I think it's great. I've heard from a lot of people that have bought them and they love them, and it does almost exactly what the Z-Star does. It's a combination grill air fryer. It's one of those that the lid lifts up. It's not a basket type thing. Much easier to clean. And you can grill stuff, indoor grill, and makes no smoke too. So I like the form factor of those things. And I did change the link on my website, Stuff I Use page. And my website, by the way, is oldguycarnivore.com, and there's a page on there, links to Stuff I Use. Has links to Amazon, to all the gadgets, the kitchen stuff, and a lot of the different food things that I use, the pork rind crumbs and ghee and canned salmon, sardines and anchovies that I buy, the wild caught stuff. And I really appreciate it when you guys use those links, because Jeff Bezos gives me a small commission. Okay, he says, My skin is great too. 50 plus months. Man, congratulations, my friend. You are carnivore for life. No doubt about it. One more doll says, that's interesting, Mitch. I'm going straight to tanning. I never did buy the whole tanning cream thing. No, that's poisonous crap that you spread all over your skin. More and more, the longer that I do this, the more I realize you don't have to buy anything. If you have dry skin, use tallow, use animal fat. It's the best skin moisturizer there is. Don't use these antibacterial soaps anywhere on your body. When you eat properly and you nourish your body properly, you will not need to shower every day unless you've really gotten dirty doing something outside, gardening or something. You will not have body odor like you used to have. You have bacteria covering every square inch of your body that are supposed to be there. And they take care of so much hygiene on our skin. And what do? We scrub them off twice a day with these chemical-laden soaps and creams, and what we're doing is we're outthinking nature again. We evolved for this stuff to take care of itself. So I stopped, and like I keep referring to Ken Berry, like Ken Berry says, he washes his sensitive spots with soap and water. But I don't even wash my face with soap and water anymore. If I jump under the shower, I just rinse off with water, and that's all I need to do. And when I go out in the world, nobody seems to be trying to steer clear of me. I don't think that I stink anymore. It's absolutely incredible to stop buying into all of these products they keep making that we now think we need. Michael Pregler says, we use nothing but beef and buffalo tallow soap. Love the way it makes your skin feel. Yeah, I've been using it on my face at night a little bit, just a little bit of it. It's incredible stuff, and there are no chemicals. I stopped using mouthwash completely. It kills. You have a microbiome in your mouth, which is necessary for the health of your teeth. You won't get as much plaque on carnivore. You won't get dental decay on carnivore. Don't use toothpaste. You don't need toothpaste. If you want to just brush your plaque off, use a wet toothbrush and just brush the plaque. I use a water pick now every night to make sure that I get any food out from between my teeth, because that's the only thing you really need to look out for. But you don't even need to buy toothpaste anymore if you're nourishing your body properly and not poisoning yourself every day. It is incredible. And against all the propaganda out there telling us how silly we are, we're living our best lives this way. And the best part of it, I keep testifying to this, the best part of it is my freedom from food. Food is just food now. It's not anything else. It's not entertainment. It's not a source of the ultimate pleasure. It's not a dopamine rush. It's not a high. It's not an emotional crutch anymore. It's just something I do twice a day. I enjoy the flavor of the meat, but the stuff I'm eating has no addictive tendencies, and it never did. People are not ribeye addicts. They might want a ribeye to eat, but they don't need a ribeye like we need sugar. Question, Midnight Madness, Mitch. My HDL is 44, triglycerides 120. What should I do? Well, keep eating meat. Don't eat the other crap. And work out. Work out. Resistance training. Lift weights or bands or do something and work. The best way to increase your HDL is high intensity exercise. So look into what they call HIIT, high intensity interval training. I got my HDL from 52 to 77 in a year and a half. Triglycerides should come down, but 120 is still not a problem. And triglycerides, you can have it, you go back and have your blood drawn and 2 hours later and it might be 90, 80. Those numbers are always in flux. They're snapshots in time. And a lot of times you just hit it that way. You just hit it at slightly the wrong time. And most of us only get those things checked once a year. And it's hard to say. So you have to look at your results year over year to try to develop any kind of trend, which is why when it comes to diabetics, wearing a CGM, a constant glucose monitor, is the great new thing. Let you actually watch in real time what you put in your mouth is doing instantly to your blood sugar. Thank you. We'll order some cocoa. My teeth are amazing and no BO. Hey, Tammy, I'm glad to hear that. I'm sure your husband's happy with that as well. Okay, talking to each other. Andre is a ribeye addict. Okay. Well, maybe they'll have it back in stock. Well, they were out of it for 2 or 3 months, and I had given up on it. And then one of my viewers sent me a note and says, I just found that it's back in stock at Amazon. So I went back, and sure enough, there it was. And that was a month or two ago, and it's been in stock ever since. And just the other day, it said currently unavailable again. I see that Donna had a problem. She purchased the Z-Star, didn't get the grill plate, and emailed customer support. Still haven't heard back from them. I don't know what to tell you. Email them again. I know they're still around. Z-Star is a big company. They make just tons of different products. So I'm sure that they're not gone. I can't, unfortunately. Now, if you've had it less than 30 days, I'm sure you could return it to Amazon. But if you have to use the basket, it works just as good. It works just so you can grill stuff in the bottom of the basket. It'll work just as good. I'm sorry about that. Unfortunately, I have no control over that. Question, Mitch. How is your vitamin D level in Florida? Well, I had my last blood test in January in the middle of the winter, and it was low. It was low 30s, which is the bottom end of the range. And I wasn't getting a lot of sun. And I wasn't deficient, but I would rather it be 50 or 60 or 70. So I actually started a D3 and K2 small amount, 5,000 international units a day. And I've been taking that. I don't have any symptoms that would indicate that it's low, but I'm sure that as the weather gets warmer and I start laying out in the sun more and walking out in the sun more, it'll go up. It'll go up. Andre's butchering a lamb on May 7th. Well, that's good. Yeah, Donna, I'm sorry. She put another comment that she posted a review. There's nothing I can do to help you, but keep me informed about it. And if you don't get any satisfaction, then I'm just, even when they do come in stock, I'm going to recommend people get the Ninja one instead. The reason that I started with that air fryer was it was when I bought mine and initially recommended it, it was $120 something, but I know they did raise the price a little to 130 or 140. we just, it's just the way it is in this world. Oh, one more doll says she keeps smoking her house out. Yeah, when you cook steaks. Good, Donna. Yeah, the basket works just as well. That's one less thing to clean. Look at the bright side, glass half full. Mitch, have you tried infrared lights? I think that's what they are called. You mean those red light things, the LEDs? No, I think that's a bunch of hooey. I think if get your sunlight from the sun. There's so many different wavelengths in there to do so many different things, not only in our bodies, but in our eyes, too. Cody Prish, as you get thinner, your body's vitamin D reserves decrease, gets stored in fat, and can be released as needed. But when you get thin, you just don't have as much. So that makes a lot of sense. Never heard that. Midnight Bandits question, Mitch, do you just strain your bacon grease and put it on the counter? No, what I do is I got one of these stainless steel grease things with a lid, and it has a strainer built into it. And you pour the bacon grease in the strainer, and it accumulates in this thing. I'm swimming in bacon grease, guys. I just emptied that thing today again, and I bought a bunch of these. When you go to a Chinese restaurant, you get wonton soup, comes in one of those clear plastic quart things with a snap lid on it. I bought a bunch of them from Amazon, just for the purpose of storing grease. And 2 quarts is a half a gallon, correct? So I learned today that container that I keep in my fridge, and you don't have to store it in the fridge. I just figured that it's going to last longer. And if you've seen in some of my videos, the inside of my refrigerator, you know that the thing is a wasteland. There's nothing in there. I got plenty of room for stuff like that. So what I do is I take that bacon grease out of the refrigerator, let it warm up. I'll set it in some hot water in the sink and let it melt. And then I'll pour it into these quart clear plastic. I filled up 2 of them from that thing, from that bacon grease container today. 2 quarts, full to the top, of filtered bacon grease. I use it when I make fried shrimp, when I make my salmon cakes. I put just a big glump of it in the pan so that it ends up being a 1/4 inch deep or more. It's almost like deep frying them. And God, I love those salmon cakes. I got a video about those. They're just mixed up with pork rind crumbs, egg, and salt. That's all. And then you don't even coat them. You just fry them in this bacon grease until they get nice and crispy on the outside. And they are so good. I have them every couple weeks. I'll make them. I buy the salmon from Amazon. It comes in a case of a dozen cans. Each can is about a pound, almost a pound, 14.75 ounces, and it makes 4 nice-sized salmon cakes, and that's one meal for me. I eat all of them, and then I throw the bacon grease out after that. Question: I buy my vitamins from Randy at Amazon. I got links for those too. The electrolytes I mix myself. Got a video about that. And the vitamin D, I did put a link to what I'm using up there on my webpage with Amazon. Cara says, get the bacon grease strainer Mitch recommends. I got the cute one with the graphic of a cow, but no handle like Mitch. Yeah, it's great. It really works great. And when I make the bacon, I don't pour all the bacon grease because I like to cook my eggs in some bacon grease, but not. When you cook those 1/4 inch thick Wright's bacon slices, you get a lot of bacon grease in the bottom of the pan, almost too much to cook an egg in. It's just, so I pour 3/4 of it into the strainer, and if bacon grease was like money in the bank, I'd be a rich man today. Andre likes the salmon cakes. That's great. And what's the bottom of it? We're coming down to the bottom of the chat. I'm going to have to try your salmon cakes. Yeah, you'll love them. You'll love. They're really, really tasty, and it's something different. You know, I don't really need a lot of variety, but the small amount of variety I get from making chicken wings once in a while, or the salmon cakes, or throwing some fish in with my omelet instead of bacon, maybe some anchovies or sardines or salmon in an omelet, is more variety that I need. I never get bored with the food I'm eating, and I eat a very small selection of foods too. DS111, how you doing? Good to see you. I need to start buying chicken thighs. I got to have at least some use for the bacon grease accumulate. Yeah, well, chicken fries, you can air fry them. They have so much fat in them, you don't need to put them in grease. You can. I imagine they'd be good if you dipped them in egg and put the pork rind crumbs on them and then fried them. Check out Mitch's links for bacon grease stainer, Kara says. Thank you. Donna, I've never had sardines. Are they strong? No, believe it or not, in the can, the sardines and the anchovies in the can don't have a strong taste at all. I was surprised. I keep thinking, I used to, when I did eat pizza, I liked, as strange as it sounds, I liked the anchovies on my pizza. And they always were very salty and very strong tasting. But these anchovies, these whole anchovies, they're from a company called Wild Planet, and I get them. There's a link in my on my page about it. They're not strong. They taste real good. A lot of people that I hear about just love. A lot of the YouTube people just keep talking about how much they love just eating the sardines right out of the tin, and that stuff is so cheap. You go to Aldi and you get the sardines packed in water. Be careful when you buy these canned things that they're not packed in soybean oil. So many of them do that. Just get them packed in water. They're $1, $1.06, something like that, a tin for 3 or 4 ounces of sardines, and it makes a great addition to a meal. Question, have you found a good way to avoid a metal taste in your mouth for a day after taking the Lugol solution? I never noticed that. Cody, I never noticed that. What I do is I hope you're not using too much of it. One drop out of the dropper. A lot of people have made the mistake when they hear, they squeeze the whole dropper thing in. No, that's a lot of iodine. One drop. I put it at the bottom. I take it about every other day now, and I just put it at the bottom of my morning coffee. I have no clue that it's even in there, and absolutely zero aftertaste from it. So be careful how much of that you're using. You don't need a lot, may not need any. We're eating a lot of foods that presumably would be iodine rich, especially a lot of the seafood if you eat that stuff. Midnight Madness, Mitch, do you play any sports? No, not really. I don't play golf. I don't play tennis. I don't even like sports. I don't watch sports. I could care less about football or any of those things. I get my exercise and that's about it. That's about it. CB Carmack says, I've made the salmon cake 7 or 8 times since I saw your video. My wife loves them. She's not even carnivore. There you go. It's a way to stuff healthy food. As long as you're frying them in bacon grease or tallow or something like that. But that bacon grease is just great. It's the best for, I of course don't eat potatoes, but I can't even imagine how good French fries would be fried in bacon grease. It's good stuff, and it is healthy fat. That's the thing that makes people crazy when you tell them that it's not even mostly saturated fat. It's mostly monounsaturated fat that comes on a pig. I remember in the late 60s. Holy cow, guys, it's 10 minutes to 10. Are we having fun or what? Andre's 3 drops. I think that's way too much. That's 4,500 micrograms of iodine. 1 drop is 1,500 mics. I think that would be more than anybody would need. I don't bother straining my bacon grease. You don't have to strain it. If it has a little bacon bits in it or crumbs or whatever, it just adds to the flavor. Mitch plays footsies with his lawn, says Donna. Yeah, I enjoy it. I can't speak for the lawn, unfortunately. Uh-oh, Cindy says, I live in goiter, in the goiter belt, no iodine in anything up here. So, yeah, I would definitely supplement iodine. It's easy to do. You buy one little bottle of this J. Crow's Lugol's 2% from Amazon. Link in my thing. I think it'll last you for years. I bought a bottle a year and a half ago. I think I've used about a third of the bottle because one drop every couple of days or every day is not a lot of iodine. One more doll. Mitch, we are supposed to refrigerate baking. I've heard between that and the same thing with ghee. I mean, I got a bottle of grass-fed ghee from Amazon. It's comes from Australia, I think. It's expensive, but I don't use it. I use it when I make shrimp, like if I have a shrimp cocktail and I want to dunk it in something. It's clarified butter. And it says right on the bottle, no need to refrigerate after opening. It just stays in the cabinet. And they say the same thing about bacon grease. But what I've heard is it'll last months and months. But if you put it in the refrigerator, it'll last probably years and years. So I got a nice big refrigerator that has generally nothing in it. So I just save it up. And if I just find I've just got too much of that stuff saved up, I'll just throw it away. I don't have anybody around here that wants it. I'm not going to sell it. DS111 says, after cooking with a frying pan, just wipe it off with a paper towel so the grease does not get in the sink. Yeah, I do the same. I take a paper towel and whatever's left in the pan, I wipe it out and I put it in an old used Ziploc bag, and I throw my garbage away like that. I don't put anything down the drain. And I don't wash it. I generally don't wash my pans after. If they've got a nice thin coating of some kind of animal fat on them, there's nothing wrong with that. It's not going to go rancid or spoil. It's going to protect the coating of the pan. Even with the Dubaye, the carbon steel pan that I sear my steaks in, I generally just wipe that out real good. And I use butter most of the time to sear my steaks. And if there's a little film of butter on the pan, there's no need to wash it with soap and water. And somebody will probably tell me I'm going to kill myself doing that, because a lot of people always tell me that with my habits, I'm going to kill myself. Oh, Midnight Man has just got a new cast iron pan. How to break it in? Well, it depends on what manufacturer it is. Some of them come pre-seasoned. They all come with instructions. I would just follow the instructions. But the way I season carbon steel is pretty simple. I just take a little grapeseed oil, a couple drops, heat the pan up pretty hot. Put a couple drops of grapeseed, take a rag, wipe it all around in there. As soon as it starts smoking, shut the heat off and just leave it sit until it cools down on a brand new pan. Do that 3 or 4 times and you'll have a pretty well seasoned pan. If I do start to get some buildup from something on it and I have to scrub it out, I use a chainmail scrubber with water, and then I'll re-season it once. I'll put it on the stove, turn it on high, wait a couple minutes, take a couple drops of grapeseed oil, rub it around in there, let it polymerize. As soon as it starts to smoke, you can turn the heat off, and it's very simple. It's very simple. Listen, guys, I could do this all night, but I'm getting tired. One thing I haven't done tonight, I haven't had my sip of champagne to celebrate my 25,000 subs. This is as close as I get to champagne. San Pellegrino, bubbly water. Cheers to you. Cheers to everybody. I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the support and sticking with me. I'll try to keep them coming, and I hope I can keep making them interesting. I'm going to get myself, I think, a little exit music. Been at this for almost 2 hours. Oh, I see we got Randy. Thank you. Thank you, Randy. Let me find it down here, and I'll put it up on the screen. There it is. Randy's my man. Randy has the idea. Let me show you guys a picture of Randy. That is Randy wearing one of my shirts. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. Looking fine, Randy. You look like you're in pretty good shape there, man. Keep it up. Keep it up. And I appreciate the super chat. You're a gentleman and a scholar, my friend. There aren't too many of us left. And these are other pictures of people that have got a t-shirt from my t-shirt thing. I got a new one here. That one right there, my latest. Thank you guys. If any of you people have bought, that's me, by the way. If any of you people that have bought the shirts, and please send me a picture of you wearing it at my Gmail address, oldguycarnivore@gmail.com, and I'll put it up on the webpage in my little slideshow there. Okay, let's go ahead and get me some travel and music. I hope you guys can hear it. There you go. I like that. Like I say, I hope you can hear it. And thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for visiting with me for a couple hours. The highlight of my day. I should maybe do more of these things. I love it. I really love it. So, I don't know about you, but I think it's time we all took the rest of the day off and always eat meat.